Hi everyone, my name is Roosje and I'm the current project intern of Deveron Projects. First up in our Soapbox Talks series are the Ensemble Eòrpa composers themselves, Lizabett Russo and Graeme Stephen. Before I start the interview, I want to introduce the musicians. So Aberdeen-born guitarist Graeme Stephen holds a steady position as one of the most creative composers of the Scottish jazz scene. Besides creating his own music, Graeme has worked in many national and international musical projects as both a performer and a composer. Alongside him is his partner and fellow musician, Lizabett Russo, our current artist in residence here at Deveron Projects. Lizabett is a Scotland-based singer-songwriter whose roots lies in Romania and whose music implements her native traditions with elements of jazz, folk, and world music. Together, Graeme and Lizabett are the minds behind the creative project Ensemble Eòrpa, a project that explores ways to remotely connect through music. So hi, Lizabett and Graeme, really great to be with you. I'm sure this will be a very lovely way to learn more about the creative processes behind the project.
Hi. Hi. Yeah. Well, good to talk to you.
Hi. How are you doing in snowy Huntly?
Cold.
It is cold.
Yeah. Great. Beautiful weather.
We really like the snow though, because it's just nice to have snow, I suppose. It's just it reminds you that actually there is proper winters around here too.
I think it's snowy everywhere around the world, but yeah, that's another topic for another day. So I would like to start the interview with the question. Both of you have quite an extensive and adventurous repertoire of musical projects in Scotland as well as overseas. For instance, Graeme, I know that you perform with the Go Get It trio and work with the Dutch string quartet, SEP4, with fellow Ensemble Eòrpa musician Una van Geel. And Lizabett, looking at your past projects, you also have done a lot of kicks and musical projects with acclaimed musicians. How did you as musicians experience the sudden rupture that COVID caused in terms of restricting physically creating music with other musicians and performing in front of live audience?
You go first.
Yeah, pretty strange because I've most of my living and my work has been playing live. So when it all stopped, at first I thought it'll just be like a few weeks, So then we'll be back to it, and everyone was saying, no, I think it's going to be longer than that. So I think I'm still dealing with it, still thinking on, things are going to get better as far as performance concerned. But it's quite amazing how, we've found ways to keep working together, especially like projects like this, which is amazing to keep working with, friends and musicians that we've played with from around Europe. And like the other day, I was playing with a musician from New York online, things like that. So it's actually opened up quite a lot of doors for that because people can be in their own place playing with somebody from somewhere else, So it's a bit strange, but
yeah,
keeping the creative thing going, I think.
Yeah. And you, Lizabett?
Yeah, it's just don't know. You have loads of time to think right now, and sometimes that's also a good and also a bad thing. Too much time to think. I suppose the good thing is, although it does sound a bit like bad thing, but it's the good because you have to dig deep inside and realize that why you did making music. I'm asking myself loads of questions, quite a bit deeper. It's like, so what does it mean? Do I play for people because it makes me feel good, or what do I do? Why do I miss it? Why is it important for me to continue it? So I don't know. It's just, it gives you loads of time to think about things that you otherwise you wouldn't think about it because nobody wants to go digging too deep, because then you find some demons in there.
I know what you mean. There's a lot of self-reflecting, and sometimes it takes you in a very deep cycle of bad thoughts. Or it's a good thing. I also agree with that, but sometimes it also can be a bit too much, maybe, or overwhelming. So I'm very intrigued that you did collaborations with someone in New York, Graeme, because I'm wondering, not being able to play music together physically, with other musicians and not having a physical live audience to play for, a certain kind of engagement and the feeling of shared experience and connectedness also must have been diminished. Is it fair to say that this would have been the motive and reasoning behind conceptualizing the project Ensemble Eòrpa, to rekindle the urge to reconnect through music? Can you maybe explain further what your motives and objectives are behind the project?
Yeah, for me, definitely, you know, like during the whole of lockdown, you spend a lot of time playing music on your own. And you know, you can come up with music on your own, you can play on your own all day. I mean, but the whole point of music for me is definitely the connection with other people and collaborating and the whole social thing, and how magic can happen between two musicians, three musicians, whatever, and they bring their thing and you bring yours, and that's the beautiful thing of music. So that's definitely the idea behind this. And also it sort of, you know, gives you a chance to, you know, keep a connection going and build new connections, because a lot of the musicians were in this, a few of the musicians anyway, are people I've played with before and Liz has played with before. So we're sort of building that connections further, and also meeting new people and building a connection there. Yeah, and just keeping the magic going. You know, like, I think, does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Although it's kind of, I think it's quite, you know, difficult to do things like that, because sometimes you just wish you were with these people in the same room,
Yeah.
and you were all kind of jamming and kind of working ideas out. Because in this way, you kind of have to work with one person at a time. And then sometimes you can't see how things will come together, because you can imagine, oh, okay, this instrument is going to come over here when this one is done. But then, no, you know, life doesn't work like that, right? You know, you can imagine many things in your head, but when it is one thing when you're actually doing it, and then things become a bit more obvious. So there's a lot of thinking, much more thinking goes into doing something like this, instead of when you have some ideas and maybe you all meet together 1 day or 2 days and then we'll work it out together, and then they come together in that kind of magical, simple way of being and playing with people, really, you know.
Yes. Also, like, so the project we're recording a lot of stuff. So like, we're writing music and then trying to figure out a way how to, like, you know, get them to record their part and make it sound like it's all real and it's been done. You know, we've worked, you know, it's not like, you know, we're placing things in place also, obviously, and things like that. But, you know, when we're going to do the concert, that's the thing, the connection, like instant connection with music is like the important thing for me.
Yeah.
Like Liz is saying, where you can sit in a room together and you can play together, and, you know, you're making music right there together. But the reason I'm saying this is because it's funny how even when you're doing it this way, like we're doing, it still feels like you're making a connection, even though you've recorded something before and they're recording on it. It's still, there's something there, like it's both the things are happening simultaneously, even though it's already been done. I suppose it's like, you know, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge, I think. I think it's also more a surprise effect, because normally when you're jamming together, especially with jazz, it is a very, like you said, magical moment, and you really respond on each other live. And now you have to record it, so the things you get back from the other musicians are maybe more surprising than normally. Or am I saying something wrong as a non-musician?
No, I think you're right, definitely. But yeah, because we recorded Una the other day on thing, and the way we've got it as well, it's kind of trying to, even though there's certain things written, we're trying to keep it organic. So like, it is as if it's happening in the moment. So there's like lots of sections where this is like the melodic figure or harmonic structure of this thing, but with that, you know, you can be free, you know. So when you take it back, actually, like when Una sent back his stuff, it was like we had played together, you know. He played, you know, so he played his magic on this thing. And listening back to it, it's like, man, you know, it's like, you know, we played together.
Yeah, because you already played with him before, so I also think maybe that's a very positive side of already working with the artist beforehand, because you kind of know how to respond or how the other musician work. Or yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's really nice, because the next question I want to ask, because you invite musicians and instrumentalists all over Europe. Before asking whether they want to join the project, was there a reasoning behind what kind of musicians you wanted to be involved, or?
We kind of thought about the countries in Europe. I was like, well, we know someone for sure. I mean, Una is so great. It's just, he came first to mind because he's great to work with, and he has a great personality and everything else. So it's just really easy, even at the distance. And then we thought about, okay, Graeme was like, oh, I know someone in Germany. And then I was like, okay, oh, I'm Bulgaria too. And then we scouted someone, scouted someone in Romania as well. So it was kind of whatever came to mind, kind of, I suppose, initially. But then we thought, okay, well, what kind of instruments we kind of need? But it did happen to be the right kind of what we needed with these people, even though we thought kind of wise.
And also, they're not like, they're really like the ones, I haven't worked with a cymbal player yet, but I've listened to his music and he's the same. They're all kind of improvisers, eh?
Yeah.
They can respond to stuff and they have their own voice. So I think that was important as well.
Yeah.
They can just, so they're not like rigid. It doesn't have to be everything. It has to be, this is what you play and
yeah,
it's great.
There's a lot of room of improvising in their own, adding their own tunes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Their own voice, their own voice comes right out.
Yeah, because you wrote music for Ensemble Eòrpa with the styles of the instrumentalists involved in mind. And I was wondering, how do you implement the styles of other involved instrumentalists or musicians and merge it into one well-composed music score that is appealing globally? Or I was wondering about that process because it is, I think, very challenging to do so.
I don't know if we think about making it appealing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, what can you say that what do you have to say? Kind of, I suppose I think of music like that, and I think Graeme thinks the same. It's not necessarily, okay, I'm going to sit down and think what will be catchy and everyone will like it, because that's not really truthful composition. You don't just write thinking, oh, people will love this is catchy and I'm going to remember it. But more like, okay, how do I feel now? Then what is it that I can actually say through the music instead of like, oh, I'm just gonna write this is catchy, everyone will dance around and be happy forever, it doesn't work like that.
Maybe instead of appealing, more a cohesive kind of musical score that makes
because I think like I've always, that's a pretty heavy, a pretty big question, because everything that you do, everything I do in music is, you'll think, oh, I really want to do this, and you think it's a good idea, and then when it comes to it, you're like, oh man, how do I make it so that everyone involved has their own sound and their own voice comes through, and they're a part of it, and it's all about that, and it's not too restrictive so that they feel like they're just playing notes and they're not doing this. How do you make it that? And also you've got to think about, how does it become a cohesive thing? And then at the start of it, I get pretty scared about all that, and I'm writing stuff and I'm going, oh man, this is all terrible. Who knows what's happening and how I'm going to get this together or that together. And then it just seems like this massive mountain that you have to climb. But somehow everything comes out in the end as if it was meant to be that way. That's the thing. And it's always comes out as if it's all connected to each other, Like when we were doing that thing the other day and Liz came and sung on this thing, it was like, you didn't really think about that consciously, but it was just the perfect thing for that. And I think it's because you're all the time, your subconscious is thinking about music.
That's what I was thinking too.
Even when you're sleeping or food.
Even though when you're trying to make it, you're like, oh, yeah, but I'm not prepared. But actually your mind has always been prepared, because you listen to it and you hear it all the time. Yeah. And the more you hear it, the more your mind is already started to work, even without you noticing that you are working. But you are working all the time when you hear something.
We've been preparing for this moment all our lives.
Oh.
probably going off in that.
And there's also, I think, the musicians, the other musicians in the ensemble you worked before or you try to forge a new relationship with. There's also a mutual trust because you're both accomplished musicians, and the people you choose, I think, also are accomplished musicians. So, I think there's a kind of trust, and in the end, it works out fine together. But I also recognize the big scary mountain before the end.
Right.
But that's really interesting to hear. As you are both an artist in residence at Deveron Projects in Huntly, you took Huntly as a source of inspiration while writing the eventual musical work, I think. How has this inspiration worked its way into the album's music?
Inspiration of this place, or what kind
Yeah,
of?
did you took your current staying in Huntly as an inspiration source also?
Yeah, definitely. Well, lots of the songs, I think they're inspired by the animals and the walks around here, really, because we saw so many geese, and I think we've really been kind of affected by it because there were so many, and because we live in Edinburgh, you don't really see the geese just passing by all the time, especially obviously not so much now because it's kind of gone, but it was like November, December, and even January and stuff like that. So we were thinking, it's like, wow, it's just when you slow down, and because you're in a place where you can slow down like this, and it's obviously much countryside around and stuff like that, you can become more observative and pay attention to these things. And I do think that birds specifically, and we've definitely taken a lot of inspiration for birds, have this amazing kind of energetic power that they transmit to human beings just with their presence. So I think that affects us on different kind of levels rather than not necessarily mental ones, but more like, let's say, spiritual, I suppose. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
lovely.
It's been good.
Yeah, and the other night we had this piece we were working on. It was quite late, and we're looking out at the sort of bleak. It looks quite bleak, but in a beautiful way out the window there, and the snow. And remember, we were playing it's just this piece that we've called The Sky right now. It's going to probably change its name, but it was like, wow, that's that view and all these things around us that's the tune. That you could hear it was like that was what made the tune. The view out to the hills with the everything. So
yeah, it's very windy kind of music. We're writing so much kind of introverted, almost like kind of just based on what's happening right now. I suppose everything is a little bit more kind of moody and kind of I'm not sure if that's right.
More than normal.
More like moody and introverted, and kind of like it creates a special kind of sentiment about it. Very windy. So. I don't know how to say.
Sorry. It must also be a very different kind of source of inspiration than Edinburgh. I don't know where you stayed before during the lockdown, but is it for you a very stark contrast with being in Edinburgh during the COVID as a musician or being in Huntly as a musician during the COVID pandemic?
Yes, it's a lot different. Yeah, it's
freedom over here.
Yeah, a lot more freedom.
And also, we, in Edinburgh, we live like in a flat, and to be locked up in a small flat all the time, it starts to get to you at the moment. It started to get to me for sure. I was like, oh, it's just.
And here.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Eager to speak.
I'll tell you. No, it's just like here you don't get woken up at 3 a.m. with somebody shouting up the window. Jimmy!
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I know totally what you mean. I think I also went to Huntly just to have a sense of freedom because I was living in a student house with a lot of other students, and here it's like I became a forest woman, or enjoying being outside, and I enjoy not hearing noises during the night. So I really get where you are coming from.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So we're almost at the end. So Ensemble Eòrpa strives thus for foster global connection through music and encourages new creative relations. Do you think that this way of remotely making music together will have a major influence on the way musicians perform with each other in the post-corona era? And what about the engagement between musician and the audience?
Well, I think it will have a difference, but I'm hoping everything goes back to just so we're all playing together. And
we're hoping, but at the back of our mind is like.
But it's definitely like things like now, like if you want to record with somebody, I mean, you knew before this as well, but much more now, it's all opened up to me. Like if I want to record with Una, say, and we want to do something like this again, even if we're not restricted, it, it might be possible instead of having to travel somewhere else, that you can do it over means like this, or you can certainly like watch more gigs now online. Like I was watching a gig from the Village Vanguard in New York the other night with my favorite guitar player, Bill Frisell, and it was like live, and it was like I didn't have to be in New York or to see that gig, and that's beautiful. Things like that are really good.
Yeah.
I think it could. I think there's a lot of good things that we've learned through this horrible sort of restrictions and stuff, I think.
Yeah, but still, I always like the challenge a bit. That kind of view.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's all good
What am
and
I
stuff like
talking
that, but this whole isolation, I think it's not in the long term, it's not good for anyone, musician or non-musician. I think it will create some deep psychological problems, which no pill and no injection, no nothing can solve it. So it's a bit like, don't know. I hope that we will be able to just come to some sort of normality, maybe, but it will take some time, because all things like that will take some time for sure.
Yeah, and let's hope in the future, when we can go to gigs and live music performance, that I can join you guys somewhere in the world and listen to you performing instead of via Zoom. I would like to finish with a nice note, or more easy note. What kind of album or music recommendations do you have for me? Because it's also nice to have like advice or recommendations from real musicians instead of I know your non-musical friends, I think.
Well, I don't know what music you're into, but if you...
I like everything, honestly. Just throw something and I will listen to it.
Well, check out Ralph Towner album called Solstice. It's from the 70s, but that's a really beautiful album. I think that's great. The Jan Garbarek, John Christensen. And there's another one that actually, there's an album coming out tomorrow that I'm really excited about by a guitar player from Copenhagen called Jacob Bro. He's going to wait to take an album out with, I think it's Jorge Rossi. And I can't even, my mind's gone with this lockdown. I forget names, but I've actually played a tour with this trumpet player. Paulo Fresu, I think his name. Yeah, so you check out that. That's great. It's coming out tomorrow on ECM.
Okay, I wrote it down. Thank you. Then I can relax a bit with music.
That's really relaxing, that one.
Importance during COVID. And do you have any recommendations, Lizabett?
Are you into anime? Do you know what anime is?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you know what anime is?
No, I don't. Please enlighten me.
It's the Japanese animation. It's really great, and I am super fan of anything that came out of Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli is like let's say one of the studios that make one of the best animation movies, obviously in the Japanese style, and basically anything from Joe Hisaishi. He's one of the composers that wrote many of the scores for the animations. So anything from him is really magical. It's really magical. So if you wanna listen and also see something really cool, I recommend anything from Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, thank you. I also want to say thanks for talking to me about the creative process of Ensemble Eòrpa and how you feel during these weird surrealistic times. Yes, I also want to say to the audience who are listening, please stay tuned for the next Soapbox Talk. It is with Une van Geel. He's from the Netherlands. He plays the viola, and he's also a very adventurous guy in the music scene. So yeah, please check it out.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yes.